Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. As you know, Tuchani, partner at Sarona, and today we have with us in the TechShield Podcast Or Lenchner, which is the CEO of BrightData for the past 6 years.
Hi,
And I'm
Tut.
super hi. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for inviting me.
We're friends for a while. We know each other for a while, so very happy that we get to casually chat and allow people to hear our inside insights.
Yeah, just like grabbing a coffee, a random coffee, just recording it.
Exactly. Exactly. I have mine. It's called water, but I have it here too.
Same.
Exactly. Cool. So, Or has been the CEO of BrightData for the past 6 years. Maybe, Or, do you want to share with everyone swiftly what is BrightData? What do you do? And like in a nutshell, so they have context.
Sure, happy to. So I'll use just one analogy, one cliche, and that's the only one I'm going to use. So if data is the new gold, and that's the cliche, we are supplying the shovels at Bright Data. It's very trivial to think about it today after the 2023 AI booming. That everyone understands the power of data. When it comes to AI, you need data to train the models. But way before that, just think of e-commerce companies or anyone who sells online. You need data to understand what happens on the platform, how your competitors are doing, to do some price comparison, to understand how you can gain more market share, and so on. And many other reasons companies want data. Bright Data is the vendor in the world that gives you the tools to collect this publicly available data from the web. This is what we've been doing since 2014. We're a product company, a tech company. Think about it as an infrastructure company that helps you to get the data that you need from the internet in order to be a better business. Yeah, and today every company needs data, and that's a growing trend, of course.
But you're not really like an analytics company or benchmarking company. So can you give maybe one sentence more about who are the customers that are exactly using Bright Data and what do they gain when they use your product?
Sure. So you're right. We're not an analytics company. We are focused on that one job of extracting the data. Then various companies will do different things actually with the same data. So when you sign up with Bright Data, it means that you already have a problem. You need data, you know what you need it in large scale, but you're failing to get it. That's like a real deep technological barrier. It's a challenge to collect this data in large scale. Then you will start using our technology. So, for example, six of the largest 10 e-commerce brands are using us to do exactly that. They need a lot of data, and they need it fresh all the time in order to automatically feed this data to their own machines, and their own machines then take action on the data. For example, changing the prices on the website. A different example is the financial services. We have hedge funds, large private equity firms, investors of any kind and any size that need and already understand that real-time data gives them that edge in the market to get better decisions. In many cases, these decisions are automated, so it's not like an Excel sheet that someone then reads and analyzes and gets a decision. It's all real time, large scale, and that's the fundamental thing that you need to do all of the rest. So you need the data. That's like the asset that is the first thing that you need to have, and then the customer itself with their internal BI team or another company that is doing great analytics tools and things like that, they can take that data and do their magic with it.
That's super cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of Bright Data, so I'm very, very objective here. Uh, so you are a very technological company. You are like one of the fastest growing companies in Israel, but you're not the typical startup, right? I mean, you're already pretty big and established.
Yeah. So the good thing is that data is something that the need for data is something that always grow. Actually, it grows exponentially when you look at the size of the internet. Every day, the amount of data on the internet is bigger, and the growth rate is actually accelerating every day. The growth is faster than yesterday, and the need for the data is also growing. Every company in the world today wants data. It's really easy to think about yourself as a company. Yeah, I have my own analytics on my website, checking the customer journey. That's one type of data that is very clear that everyone already have for like the past decade. But what most companies understand already today is that they also need to look at the outside. They need to understand what's going on outside of their platform, and they need to gather this data as long as it's public. And most of the data on the internet is public. So that helps us as a company to grow pretty fast. We've been around since 2014. Back then, we had some education to do to potential customers on why they need the data. That's not the case anymore. In 2021, actually before that, in 2017, we were acquired by a private equity firm. 2021, we already passed the $100 million in annual revenues. And across all of that past decade already, we were extremely profitable as a company. We count our profits in tens of millions of dollars every year. Very proud of that. But actually, being able to stay pretty lean company, so almost 500 employees today. It's not little, but for a company our size, with our revenues, profits, and future trajectory, it's actually pretty lean. We like it this way. It keeps us focused on our mission.
Oh, that's amazing. It's very, it's very trendy too, right? To build a company and to not say the most important thing is to pump our valuation, rather than the most important thing for us is to give actual value to our customers and have that reflected in our performance, in our revenues, in our retention rate, and our EBITDA.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
just being a real business. Now, sometimes you have to bet on something, which means that you need to invest without actually yielding higher profits. But it became the standard in the past decade, I think, and in the last year, due to the macroeconomic situation, there's a lot more value into actual profits and EBITDA and cash. Cash is king again. For us, that was always the case. We think that true value to our customers means profit. If it's not working together and we're only spending money but not really yielding more than what we spend, then that's actually an indicator that the value is not there or not there enough. So we were always optimizing to achieve both growth, in many cases hyper growth, while being extremely profitable. Because we're solving such a big problem and in such a unique way, we are actually able to achieve both across the past decade, like every year.
that's amazing. Where do I sign up?
Oh, right now.
So the context of our call is, both the audience and or is that yes, we want to hear about what is happening in the industry, but in particular, we want to understand what is happening in the industry in context of post-October 7th and the Israeli economy in the context of what happened following October 7th, and basically give people around the world some context as to what exactly is happening, because you have investors, you have people that are spread around the world that are only exposed to the news, and news, as we all know, are not always conveying what is really happening, but rather what they would like to communicate. So I find it very important to have this stage to really share with the global community, whether they're investors or just people who try to understand how to position their own opinions rather towards what's happening, to give them the context. So as a CEO of, hundreds of millions of dollars company based in Israel, what is your take? I mean, you came back to Israel like literally the night before from a family vacation. Where did it catch you as the CEO, as a leader? How did you find it to manage towards your employees? And also, did it affect your company's performance? And if yes, how? And to what extent do you think it's related to the fact that you're essentially an Israeli company?
Yeah. So we're in February now, already 4 months. That feels like 4 years, I have to say. And perspective also changes. So it's also a good opportunity to reflect back on, what we've
Go
been through
ahead,
in the last
take the
4 months.
opportunity.
So thank you for giving me the stage to do that, because I don't think I have done it. I didn't stop and think. I landed on October 6th, 11 p.m. from a 10-day family vacation with my wife and two kids. We woke up 6:30 a.m. On October 7th, like all of 10 million citizens in Israel, to alarms, rockets. Went to the shelter, not really understanding what the hell is going on. A few hours later, I was wearing a uniform up north. My wife and kids went to her parents' house. We didn't even have a chance to unpack the luggage after a 10-day
Wow.
amazing vacation that I don't even remember right now. And what happened that day, I think that all of us are still processing, and I don't think we will ever finish processing. It's not about information that you need to read and understand. It's more of an emotional thing. And so this is how it started. And obviously, it's not just the family; it's also the company that I need to realize what is going on. And if I am the CEO being called to the reserve army, I'm a major in the reserve army, a combat officer. And you open the phone, you're trying to understand what's going on, and 47 employees of the company, which is exactly 10% of the employees, were recruited also. And while everyone are at shock. Now, half of the company is, we are growing globally more than domestically. So more than half of the company is global. It's scattered in 17 different countries. And I think the first thing was very clear that, okay, Israel is under attack, a brutal attack. We need to focus here on doing what we need to do to stay safe. And it's a good thing that we have the global outreach to help if needed. I would say that like the first 10 days were still, the shock days that no one really realized what is going on or what happened. And again, I was up north, not always available, but the company, at least the way I see it and the way I am building it, that I'm not that important to run the company. Otherwise, that's not a good situation to be in. If it's a 500 people company, everyone are doing an incredible job. If I'm away, nothing should happen. And I realized that was exactly the case. The company, fast forward, and then I'll come back again.
Yeah,
that was
4
the
months.
best. Yes, from October to December, Q4 2023 was the best quarter in the history of BrightData.
Wow.
While 10% of the employees were occupied doing other things.
And why is that? Can we stop on that point? Why do you think is that? So 10% of the workforce was away, and still you performed the best quarter ever in the history of the company.
Yes.
Why is that?
Two main reasons. First of all, something that I think is unique to BrightData but also probably to the Israeli ecosystem, is the resilience. So you don't really, something happened, you are busy in solving it, not busy on complaining about it. And if it means that you need to do something for the first time because the other person, your peer, is away, you'll just do that instead complaining on it. I think that we felt a lot of it in BrightData, but I have a lot of entrepreneur friends, CEO friends here in Israel that were in the same situation, and I saw it in every single case. And I think that the second reason, it's kind of a follow-up for the first one, is that we immediately talked about it. I opened a WhatsApp group for the Israeli employees, and I use Slack to communicate with everyone else, but for the Israeli employees,
How
pretty
many
fast.
Israelis do you have out of the total employees of the company?
Around a half, probably 260, something like that. So a lot more than 10% of the Israeli employees were recruited. We opened a WhatsApp group and we just talked about everything in real time. And we said that, okay, this is the situation. We're all here together at the same boat. Safety is number one. But if you are currently not wearing the uniform in whatever form or in being anywhere in no matter what border, your job is to try to get back to normal life, which include also business-wise or
Yeah.
employment-wise, not because of the company and its goals, also, but more importantly because that's you putting up a fight. Someone tried to literally just stop us from living here forever and ever. Our fight is not just a literal fight with in the army, but it's also just showing them that no, you failed. We're back to we're putting our kids in kindergarten, in schools. We're going to the office. We're delivering, and I think that it actually caused a lot of our employees, but speaking more generally, all of the employees in the tech scene in Israel, to deliver twice as much, while usually they deliver like 150%. I think that's like our nature. So just doing even more of that. And proof is in the pudding. I mean, that was by far the biggest quota in the history of the company.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, and everyone are super proud, and the company is now much better than it was forever. That's like a new standard, even though that yes, there is
So
still a war going on. We don't really feel it on a daily, like in the daily routine anymore after 4 months. But the new standard of the Israeli tech scene, in my view, just went up from here to here.
that that's amazing what you're saying, because I think people from abroad, when they read the news, they have this certain perception of what war is and what war looks like, and then they put it on what's happening in Israel, and that's the situation and that's the reality in their minds. Unless they came to visit, this is what they think is happening. So could you share how you see this gap between what people may imagine that war is and what actually is happening in Israel day to day and business as usual, 4 months in, and how the reality of our society and our economy looks like today?
Yeah, my personal view, of course, I think that many
Only.
colleagues will agree, though. First of all, war is bad. Unfortunately, not my first one. Hopefully, my last one. So, war is bad, and what you see in news is war, but it's a micro percentage of the reality. And when you're doing what you know is right, which is protecting your country, not asking for a lot, just wanting to, just the desire to live a peaceful life, and you are in a war to achieve that. Everything pretty much makes sense. So to your question, and I'm trying to illustrate my thoughts. Um, when you live here and working here and leading that specific scene that we are at, the tech scene in Israel, and being involved in that, after a few weeks since it started, and it started really bad, but after a few weeks, you had that routine. I have a photo that one of my friends got over WhatsApp of me in the mud, sitting with uniforms, with a small power unit running on fuel, with my laptop connected, just working. And it wasn't unique at all. A few weeks have passed. That's the new normal for a few months. And okay, that's the new normal. We're resilient. We need to deliver. We always deliver. We have no other place to go. That's the reality.
Yeah.
We have no other place to go. So we'll win with with what we have. If we need to win with the laptop, with low signal and a power unit running on petrol, we'll do that, and we actually did that. 4 months into the situation, um, the feedback that I'm getting from the global team at BrightData and from investors, customers, journalists, reporters, is that they already got that vibe. They already got that motion. Now
Wow.
it's also a semi sad thing to say because the situation has not ended yet, and there are still, as we speak, 136 hostages being held there, and many soldiers fighting for our right to live a peaceful life. But this is the case. I just came back from Tel Aviv from a meeting with like a few of my peers and a few reporters that came from different countries to learn on the current AI boom in Israel. Business as usual. I think that from that point of view of the business and commercial, we're behind all of that, and we're much stronger than before of October 7th.
What I'm hearing from you, and I also see that amongst our companies and other companies that I meet and I speak with these days, companies all over the world, they dream to have such level of commitment and camaraderie and stickiness of their employees to the mission of the company. And I think what you're describing is exactly that. And it's a result of our characteristics. And what I find amazing in what you say is that it doesn't stay only amongst the Israeli employees. It actually spreads. And if I think about our role, in the world as one of the largest tech ecosystems that the world has and has seen, I think one of our responsibilities and our contribution to the global tech ecosystem is exactly that, is
I,
spreading the Israeli resilience around the world.
yeah, I definitely agree. I think that no matter if it's real life or business, we don't have the privilege to lose. That's just a given. We don't have the privilege to lose, and that's the DNA also of the companies. And if now BrightData is 50-50 between Israel and global employees, the global employees can't afford losing. It was removed from their DNA, and they will take it also to their next steps in their career. I'm sure of that. Um, just an example, we had a major legal dispute um, for the past year, starting in early 2023. It was just published a couple of weeks ago, the favorable ruling that we got against in a legal dispute between us and
Against one
Meta.
of the smallest companies in the world, right?
Yeah, Meta. Um, so it was about no, not getting into the legal details, of course, but it's most of it is public, so anyone can read that. But basically, they wanted to stop the practice of scraping, of collecting public data from the web, from their own websites, Facebook and Instagram. We said no, because we believe this is public. And we didn't back off because we were confident that we are correct and we are right and we have the resources to put this to test. We ended up in court in California, and during the war and all of that, we had hearings and motions and things like that. It's exactly that. We can't afford losing. And 2 weeks ago, the judge in the California court ruled in our favor, which is
Wow.
that's as you know, just that is a huge story, and that's like a global precedent that I won't get into the implications of it now, but it's that's the nature. Okay, just this is just one example. It's true for that. It's true for if we're competing on a big deal. We can't accept losing, and if we lose, we think really hard what we did wrong in order to be better. So you see it in the real life when it's an actual war. You see it in business. You see it when we have principles that we stand behind. And I'm really proud that this is something that is not unique for BrightData. This is who we are as Israelis.
But you said something really important, and you put it in you hit it in a long paragraph of about other things as well. Winning a lawsuit against one of those giants is not something that happens every day.
No.
I know you're bound under certain restrictions of what you can and what you cannot share, but could you share how that came about, and maybe also a hint of if there was something related to our characteristic as Israelis that helped you to get that win that is really not something that is common practice, winning a big lawsuit in California of all places against one of those big giants.
Yeah, and obviously this is probably not the end. We should these litigations are roller coasters, so
Yeah.
We should keep seeing what the future will bring. But yeah, so we are true believers, and this is what we are doing for a living, that public data is a major asset and resource for humanity that should be used in order to progress humanity. Again, the best example to understand that is just thinking of every single AI company that you know, and then realizing that, okay, they would have nothing, literally nothing, without data to train their models on. And the largest database in the history of mankind is the internet. And this is what we're doing for a living. We build technology, we build tools to help anyone who needs the data to collect it. And we always also defined what public data means. In our view, it means that the best way to illustrate that is just imagine yourself opening an incognito browser, and whatever you see within your own eyes, without doing any login, sign up, paying to remove a paywall or anything like that, that's public data. It's there to be used. Obviously, it needs to be used for good purposes, and this is also something that we care a lot about, and we need to know what you're doing with this data in order for you to become a BrightData customer. Meta probably didn't think the same. This is why they asked us to stop. I'm not sure about their motivations. They need to answer that, but probably. But they asked us to stop allowing our customers to collect that public information. As I said, we said no. I'm not sure. It wasn't really a business thing. It's more of a principle thing. If we won't fight on that core principle, probably number one in the list of principles that BrightData care about, then how can our customers trust us? How can the industry progress? What will happen in the next decade? Will more tech giants try to limit access to public data, so they will be the only ones who can gain access to it? How the world would look like? So we really care about that, and we said we thought a lot about it, because that's a big adventure to go into, and a huge roller coaster ride. Obviously, also very expensive. And it was like a unanimous decision, not just mine, but like the whole management with the support of the board, to say, okay, we actually really care about this principle, and we're going to put up a fight. Like we know, we have 100% confident that we are the right side. We hope that the judge will think the same. That is never something that you can rely on, because the reality is more complicated than that. And it proved itself. And again, I think that it's 90% of the management is Israeli. It was but also the other 10% supported that, of course. But I think that not being afraid of doing the right thing, even that it comes with a massive cost, was something that was very trivial to us. Again, we can't afford losing. So that's a summary of the last year.
I think it's super precise, and if I compare it to what's happening now in the country and in the world as a result, I think if your principles stand for good, and if you have a principle to not give up on your principles and to fight through on what you believe, given that it stands for the good, then you win.
I agree. I mean, just looking at it from the business side, we are partners to our 20,000 customers. We're not just a vendor. Again, that sometimes it's a cliche, but we truly believe that. How can we say that the number one priority for BrightData is to help you get access to public information? But then when we actually have an opportunity to stand behind this principle and put our money when our mouth is, we back off. That's not who we are, right? Not in this case in business, and not in the in real life when we need to protect our families, and not in any other scenario. Which is why we're able to achieve great things, and sometimes also fail, which is okay. You can't achieve great things without failing once in a while.
Yeah. So given everything we just said on this discussion, conversation, coffee chat, what do you think investors from around the world who are now looking at Israel and have always seen how Israel builds phenomenal companies and are now standing on the fence and are not sure if yes, how to invest in Israeli companies because they are afraid, and we understand. I mean, it couldn't be concerning if you're far away. So what do you think? What do you recommend? What do you think these investors should do at this point in time, and how should they hedge themselves, and what should be their approach in regards to investing in Israeli companies at the moment?
Yeah. So first of all, I totally understand that. In the first month, 2 months, everything is chaotic. It's okay to freeze the situation for a while. I mean, that's something that probably all of us would have do also with our business. But we're behind that already. We're 4 months into the situation, and it's not only what I think; it's also what I see and what I get from the market. I think that the concerns are almost minimal now. And I think what they should remember is that every crisis brings a lot of opportunities. You can see a lot of it in the history of Israel. A lot of this we can't afford losing motion in the country already created the most phenomenal companies in the world, not just in tech, but
not just BrightData.
Not just BrightData, but also not just in tech. And we are about to perceive the most biggest boom in the Israeli tech scene we ever seen, I think. First of all, I help entrepreneurs that are up and coming, and I talk to many of them, and I consult to a lot of them. I see people just had the toughest time in their lifetime, and the next thing that they are going to do is to take advantage of that crisis and build the most incredible companies the world have seen. It's not a guess. That's a fact. That's a given. It happened in the past of the nation, in the history of the nation, and this is, October 7th is one of the worst days in the history of Israel, and what will come afterwards in 2024 and 2025 is the most, we'll see blooming of the most incredible companies, building new technologies that the world haven't seen before. If you're gonna stay on the fence, you're just gonna lose, which is okay. But if you want to be a winner, then you need to. It's not a bet. You need to invest in Israel. It's not even a bet.
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much. Oh, really, you phrased it amazingly. Thank you. Thank you so
Truly
much.
believe that. Truly believe that.
Is there anything else that you would like to share before we kind of wrap it up?
I think that's a great opportunity to personally, again, thank the BrightData employees that, like every time, they stood up to the challenge and did an incredible job, including those who were recruited, those who weren't and stayed at work, those who got injured. We have a few of these. Those who their families got hurt in October 7th, including being kidnapped. We have these. It's a small country. Everyone knows everyone. I'm saying these words that I got the shivers. So just using this platform again to say thank you to all of the BrightData employees, and also to all of the other employees in the tech scene outside of BrightData, our peers that did exactly the same thing in their own companies. And thank you, Tut, for facilitating this.
Thank you. I'm just the stage. You're the content. You're the main actor here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, all.